Hello everyone, welcome back to my channel. My name is Darian and today I'm going to be talking about all the books that I read in August. So in August I did manage to read 6 books. However, 2 of those books were graphic novels. One of them was a DNF. So August was not the best reading month for me. I started out the month in a pretty big reading slump. I participated in the Enneagramathon at the beginning of the month. It was a 2-week-long readathon and I only completed 2 books for that readathon. So we didn't start out the month in such a great way, and then I read a very large book. So that kind of slowed me down. But anyways, let's just get into the books that I did read in August. So the first book that I read, I actually can't talk too much about because this is one of the books that I am reading for a secret video that I've been working on for a long time. It will be finished eventually, I promise. But that book is When No One Is Watching by Alyssa Cole. This book follows this woman named Sydney who has lived in her neighborhood in New York City for her whole life, but slowly but surely it is being gentrified by a bunch of white people. Sydney is black and the neighborhood was predominantly black for Sydney's whole life until now. White people are coming to move in and black people are leaving, and there seems to be something going on. It doesn't seem to be as simple as black people wanting to leave and then a bunch of white people just happen to be moving into this neighborhood. So that's all I really want to say because this is a thriller. This book does take a lot of twists and turns and I think it's best to go into it not knowing too much about it. I can't really say what I thought about this book, but yeah. I don't know. Stay tuned for my thoughts on this book. I don't really know what else to say, so I will just leave it at that. The next book that I read in August is one of my favorite books now. I love this book so much. Definitely my favorite read from August. Probably one of my favorite books of the year. I loved it so much, and that book is Firekeeper's Daughter by Angeline Boulley. This was the buddy read book for my team, Team Type 6 in the Enneagramathon, and I'm so glad that we chose this book because I absolutely adored it. So I don't want to give too much of the synopsis away because I feel like there is something that happens at around the 20% mark of the book that I didn't know about before I went into it, and reading the Goodreads synopsis, it doesn't give everything away of what happens, but I find it still gives too much away, so I'm gonna give you the bare minimum of what this book is about. So we're following this girl named Donis who I think is 17 or 18 years old, and she is living on her reservation near the border of Canada. She is part of the Ojibwe tribe, but she is mixed race. Her mother is white and her father was Native American, and this kind of created a lot of scandal when Donis was born, especially because her mother was very young when she got pregnant with Donis, and her father did cheat on her mom when her mom found out that she was pregnant with her, and the woman that he cheated with, she also became pregnant. So Donis does have a half brother that is around the same age as her. So all of this family drama has kind of shaded Donis's life. So Donis is not enrolled in her tribe because of all this drama that happened. Also, her father's name is not on her birth certificate, and her mother's family kind of has some internalized racism towards Donis's father's side of the family. So there's just a lot going on in her life. She's also, you know, graduating high school. She's trying to decide whether or not she wants to go somewhere far away for college or if she wants to stay nearby, especially because her family has gone through a lot recently. Her uncle had passed away recently and her grandmother recently suffered a stroke, so she's dealing with a lot right now. And on top of all that, there is a new boy in town. His name is Jamie and he just joined the soccer team. He's very cute and very nice, and then something happens around 20% into this book and it threw me for a loop. I did not see this coming at all, and if you don't read the synopsis then you won't see this coming at all, and then the whole book kind of takes this turn because things are revealed around the 20% mark that, again, I just did not see coming, and I loved this book so much. I loved the writing of this. I think this was Angeline Boulley's debut, I think, which was so impressive to me, and I want to read everything she ever writes in her life. This curtain is trying to hug me right now. But yeah, I want to read everything she ever writes. I loved her writing style so much, and I loved Donis as a main character. She just felt so complex and so fleshed out to me. Like, she went through so much in this book, and I didn't completely agree with every decision that she made in this book, but every decision that she did make just felt so real to me. Like, it didn't feel like she was written as making bad decisions just for the sake of the plot. Like, it seemed like it fit with her character, but also these decisions are impossible to make in the situation that she is put in. Like, everything just felt so realistic to me. I felt sucked into the story and my heart was beating the whole time, especially the end. Like, the last 20% of this book, 10% of this book is just a wild ride. Ugh. I just love this book so much and I want everyone to read it. Please, please, please read this book. I loved it so much. Now, I will say there are trigger warnings in this book for drug abuse and for rape, so just keep that in mind before you go into it, but if you can handle those, I think that everyone should pick up this book. It was just so amazing. I also loved learning about Donis's community and her tribe and her life as an Ojibwe woman. I just loved it. I loved it so much. This book also touched on, you know, missing and Indigenous women and the epidemic that is in the Indigenous community, and I just loved it so much. I think everyone should pick this book up. It's one of my favorite books of the year and I cannot recommend it enough. And obviously I gave it 5 stars. The next book I read, hoo boy, she did it, folks. She read The Way of Kings. It happened. It finally happened. I said it was gonna happen this year and it did after being on so many TBRs. It is done. So The Way of Kings by Brandon Sanderson is the first book in the Stormlight Archive series. There are currently 4 books out in the series. I think there's supposed to be 10 in total, which that's a lot of pages because every book is around 1,000 pages. I did start this book in July and then I put it off for the Enneagramathon, then came back to it and finished it in August. And this book was a wild ride. I mean, as you can imagine, with 1,000 pages, there's a lot that happens in this book. So it's kind of a hard book to explain because it's high fantasy and there's just a lot going on. The basic premise of the book is that you're following these 2 groups of people, the Alethi and the Parshendi, who have been at war with each other for 6 years, I think, because 6 years ago the Parshendi assassinated the Alethi king. Now they're at war and you're following a bunch of different characters. The main character, I would say, is Kaladin, and he starts out the book being a soldier, but then it flash forwards to like 8 months later and all of a sudden he is a slave and you don't really know how he went from point A to point B, and after being a slave he is forced to become a bridgeman, which essentially means, so one of the biggest battles, I guess, between the Alethi and the Parshendi take place in this area called the Shattered Plains, which is essentially like this group of plateaus that they have to run across, but the chasms in between the plateaus are like, you can't jump over them, obviously. So you have these bridgemen who carry these enormous and like super heavy bridges and put them in between the plateaus so that the soldiers can run across. So Kaladin becomes one of these bridgemen, and in his storyline you follow him and the bridgemen that are part of his crew. You're also following this girl named Shallan who is searching for the... is she a princess? She's the niece of the king that got assassinated, right? Or is she the daughter? No, she's the daughter. She's looking for the daughter of the king that got assassinated to be her teacher, but she has kind of ulterior motives to that. You're also following Dalinar, who is the brother of the king that was assassinated. You're following Adolin, who is Dalinar's son. There's a lot going on, and I really, really liked this book. I think I liked the beginning more than the rest of the book, but also the ending was great. I think it was just, there was a lot of the middle that kind of dragged for me, especially in Dalinar's point of views, which I really liked Dalinar as a character and I found a lot of what he went through very interesting, so I'm not sure why I didn't like his parts as much as the rest, but I just found myself kind of getting more bored in his parts. But I did give this book 4 stars. I really, really enjoyed it, and I know a lot of people like the second book in this series the best, so I'm definitely very excited to see what that book is all about, especially after the ending of this one. But yeah, if you want to know my favorite characters, they are Szeth. I love Szeth so much. There is Jasnah and Kaladin. Those are my top 3 characters. I love them very much and I can't wait to see more of them, especially Szeth. Give me more Szeth! But yeah, so I gave it 4 stars and I am very happy I finally read it and I am proud of myself. So I hope you're all proud of me too. The next book I read, I mean technically I didn't finish this book, I did DNF this book. I am so sad about this. I'm so sad because I was so excited about this book and I've heard it's amazing and I know that this book is great. Anyways, let's just pull the band-aid off. What? I don't know. She Who Became the Sun by Shelley Parker Chan. I got through 51% of this book, so I was more than halfway, okay, by 1%. And I just couldn't do it anymore. So let me try to explain what this book is about, but I don't think I'm gonna do a great job, but I'm gonna try my best. So at the beginning of the book, we're following this girl named Zhu. I hope I'm pronouncing that properly. And it has been said that her brother is destined for greatness while she is destined for nothing, but then her father and her brother died and they were the last remaining members of her family. So in order to survive, she decides to adopt the identity of her brother and adopt this destiny for greatness. So to survive, she goes to the monastery because that was on the path for her brother, and so she pretends to be him, she pretends to be a man, and she lives her life in the monastery, she becomes a monk, and then it kind of goes from there. That's really the best I can do giving a synopsis for this book, because there was just something about this book. I had no idea what was going on reading this, and I don't know if it's the writing style, if it's just written in a way that I'm not used to. This kind of did feel like I was reading a history book at times, like a nonfiction book, and history has never been a strong subject for me. Like, I don't know what it is about it, but every time I read like history books in school, I could not understand what was going on. Like, I just can't wrap my head around what's going on. And I remember feeling the same way about the Poppy War at times. Like, when I was reading the Poppy War, there were times where it's like, I just don't know what's going on. So I think maybe that was one of the reasons why I just couldn't understand what was going on. And it just makes me so sad because I was reading this and I could tell that this is a great book. Like, I could just tell, but I was like, I wish I knew what was going on. And there were other characters that were introduced, and I found there were way too many characters in this book. Like, often I would just get them mixed up and there would be a character talking to someone and I was like, do we know who this is? I feel like we've met this person, but I have no idea. I do not remember who this person is. I don't know, there was just something that something was not clicking with me in this book, and I was reading it and then I realized all of a sudden, like, I don't know if I can finish this because I'm not understanding anything, and it would take me like an hour to read 20 pages because I just had to keep going back and rereading paragraphs and rereading pages, and it just wasn't clicking. So I don't know what to say. I think this book was just too big-brained for me, and maybe I'll try and pick it up another time, but it's a DNF. I'm so sad. This was also the Whiners Book Club pick for August, and by the time this video goes up, we will have already had our live show, so I will link that down below. We haven't had it yet when I'm filming this, but hopefully we have a good discussion about it. I don't know how much I'll be able to add to the discussion, but I'll try my best. But yeah, I'm so sad about this, and it's not even that, like, I'm not telling you, oh, this book sucks, like, don't pick it up. Like, that's not why I DNF'd it. I wasn't understanding what I was supposed to be understanding about this book. So I sadly DNF'd it, but I would like to, maybe after the live show, I will understand more and maybe I'll try picking this up again one day, but for now, I'm putting it down and I'm really sad, but yeah, that's just how it is sometimes, I guess. The last two books I picked up in August were graphic novels, and they were part of the same series. They are volumes 1 and 2 of the Moonstruck series. Volume 1 is called Magic to Brew, and the second volume is Some Enchanted Evening. And the reason I read these is because for the Buzzwordathon in August, the word was like a time of day in the title, and we were getting close to the end of August and I had not fulfilled this prompt yet, and so I went on Hoopla and looked for graphic novels that had a time of day in the title, and I saw that the second one was called Some Enchanted Evening, so evening was in the title. It's a time of day. So I was like, I'm just gonna read these two books and call it a day. So I read these in the last 2 days of August. So I fulfilled the Buzzwordathon for August. Thank God. I just said August so many times. Anyways, the Moonstruck graphic novels follow these two girls. What are their names? I think it's Julie and Selena. And at the beginning of the first one, they have recently started dating, so they're in that very like cutesy phase and they're not sure what the other person means and you know all that. And Julie, I'm pretty sure that's her name. Oh, also they're both werewolves. I feel like that's important. They live in this town where, like, I think every person in the town is some sort of magical creature. So Julie works with a person who is a centaur named Chet. I loved Chet so much. Chet is a non-binary character and they were definitely my favorite part of these graphic novels. I loved them so much. They were so funny. So the first one, Magic to Brew, they all go to a magic show and the magician ends up stealing Chet's powers, so Chet becomes a human. So they work together to try to figure out how to get Chet's powers back, and the first one was definitely cute, but it wasn't anything amazing. I gave it 3 stars. There were definitely a lot of really funny moments. Also, the art in this series is so stunning. Oh my god. Oh my god. It was so stunning. Like, some of the most beautiful art I've seen in graphic novels. I think it might even be my favorite. It was so beautiful, so that was definitely the best part of this series, as well as Chet, obviously. But yeah, the first one, like, aside from the art, which was amazing, I just thought it was okay. It had a lot of funny moments, and it had a lot of kind of cringy moments. Some of the jokes, like, were really funny, and others were just very, like, generic and corny, and I was like, okay. And also the plot I didn't think was very strong, but I had a fine time reading it, so I gave the first one 3 stars, and then the second one, I don't know if I even understand what happened in this one, but basically they go to this party where there's fairies, but then the fairies hold hostage 2 of like the gang's friends and they won't let them go, and so they have to figure out how to get the fairies to let their friends go. It was something like that. But even though I didn't love the plot of the second one, I did enjoy this one a little bit more than the first. I thought this one was a bit more funny and like the jokes landed more, I found. And again, the art was absolutely stunning. There also, I forgot to mention, in these graphic novels there were sections where there was like this advice column section, and I thought those were really funny. I don't know what they had to do with the story at all. Like, I don't know why it was there, but I thought they were so funny, so I really liked that part as well. But yeah, like the plot, again, it wasn't super strong, but again, I loved Chet. I also found, like, in this volume, Julie and Selena, they kept fighting, and I didn't understand what they were fighting about. Like, they just kept bickering over stupid things, and I was like, guys, let's stay focused here. So they weren't like the most amazing graphic novels I read, but I did give the second one 3.5 stars. I did like it a bit more, but these are definitely really cute, and I feel like these kind of started to get me into the fall mood because it's full of creatures and stuff. So I do recommend them if you want to check them out. They're not the greatest things I've ever read, but I think the art itself is definitely worth it, and there were a lot of jokes that I liked a lot. So yeah, 3 stars, 3.5 stars, and I fulfilled the Buzzwordathon, which is good. So those are the books that I read in August. Like I said, it was not the best reading month for me. I hope September is a lot better, but I do start school in September, so that's just wonderful. But let me know what books you guys read in August and what was your favorite read of the month, and also let me know if you've read any of the books I mentioned. Don't forget to check out the description box of my video. There are a lot of important links there and ways that you can educate yourself about certain things that are going on in the world right now, as well as all my links are in the description box if you want to find me anywhere else. But that's it for today's video. Thank you so much for watching. Don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe, and I'll see you guys soon with another video soon. Bye!